Hi class, today we're looking at Chapter 4, Lesson 6, Maps and Scale Drawings. So when you know how scales work, you can see them in everything from maps to giant sculptures. A scale drawing is an enlarged or reduced drawing of an object that is similar to the actual object. Let's write that down. So a scale drawing is an enlarged, so a bigger, or reduced, a smaller, drawing that is similar to the actual object. A scale is the ratio that compares a length in a drawing or model to the corresponding length in the actual object. Let's write that down too. So a scale is the ratio that compares the length of the object to the drawing. So let's look at using scale drawings. The length of these sides of the house is 3 centimeters on a scale drawing. What is the actual length of the house? So let's first look at the scale, right? The scale tells us what the actual to the drawing is. So for 1 centimeter on this, it equals 2.5 meters, okay? So the length of the side of the house is 3 centimeters on the scale drawing. What is the actual length of the house? Okay, so we have 1 centimeter is equal to 2.5 meters. And the length of the house, they said, is 3 centimeters. So how many meters is that? So like we talked about yesterday, we could go ahead and multiply these out. Remember how we do just the cross multiplication. So then we have 1x equals, and then 3 times 2.5. 2.5 times 3 is going to equal 7. If we have a 1 in front of the x, it just equals x. Therefore, x equals 7.5. 3 times 2.5 is 7.5. So x equals 7.5 meters. That's the length of the house, the actual length of the house. Okay, so using the same drawing right here, you try this one. The chimney of the house is 4 centimeters tall on the drawing. How tall is the chimney of the actual house? Press pause, see if you figure it out. Come back to me when you're done. You should have got that the chimney was 10 meters tall. You use those same ratios, 1 and 2.5. 1 and 2.5. Cross multiply. 1 times x is really just x. X equals 10 meters tall. Okay, so now let's look at this one. Finding the scale of a model. So this is a model train. The actual boxcar length is 609 inches. What is the scale of the model? So we know that this one is, so for this one, we are trying to find what the scale is. So all we have to do is put 7. So 7 is the length of the model. So we have 7 over 609. So we want to be able to reduce that. So really, we want to see how many times 7 can go into 609, because then that would tell us what 1 equaled. So that would put us in simplest form, which would tell us what the ratio is. So if we divided 7 by each of them, 7 divided by 7 is 1. 609 divided by 7 is 87. So therefore the scale length is 1 inch is equal to 87 inches. That's the ratio. So then no matter how many inches the boxcar is, you can figure out what the actual is. This is the scale. This is which would be on the bottom to tell us how big something actually is. Okay, so go ahead and try this one on your own. Your notes should have been corrected, but mine were incorrect. This should be 160. The length of a room is 10 inches in its drawing. Its actual length is 160 inches. What is the scale of the drawing? Press pause, come back to me when you're done. You should have got 1 inch to 16 inches. Okay, so let's look at application. Models. You want to make a scale model of a sailboat that is 51 feet long and 48 feet tall. You plan to make your model 17 inches long. What is the height of the model? So the actual sailboat is 51 over 48. And then this is, you plan to make your model 17 inches long. So we need it to line up with the 51 so that the lengths are matching. So that's going to equal 17 over x. Let's go ahead and cross multiply. So really what this is, but you know I skip a step often, is 51x equals what is 48 times 17 equals 816 divided by 51 divided by 51. So see, usually I would just skip this step of crossing out the 51. I would just multiply these together and divide by that third one. So divide by 51, x equals 16. So what is the height of the model? 16 inches. And that's your answer. So now using that same problem, talking about the sailboat, what if the sailboat was 15 feet wide? So instead of being, we're going to use that, so we're making like a 3D model. So you still know how long it is. It's still going to be 17 inches long, but now we want to know how wide it will be. So this is the actual sailboat, and you want to know what the model will be. See if you can figure that out on your own. Come back to me when you're done. Okay, so you should have got 5 inches wide. I actually messed up the first time that I was doing this as the example. You want to make sure that you are using so 51, right, was the length, and then 15 is the new width that's here. So this is the actual one, and then the one over here is the model. So we already still knew about the 17, so using those because those lined up, and then adding in the 15 and the x. I cross multiplied. 15 times 17 is 255 divided by 51 equals 5 inches wide. So now let's look at finding the scale of a map. The map key shows that a map distance of 1/4 inches represents an actual distance of 5/8 of a mile. Find the actual distance represented in 1 inch to write the scale of the map. So what we would do here is, so 1/4 inch represents 5/8. So we're going to go 1/4 over 5/8 is equal to 1 over x. Okay, well, it's really hard to divide fractions on top of each other like this to be able to solve, but we really can. So we can do our cross multiplication. So 5/8 times 1 is 5/8. And then the other side's going to equal 1/4 x. So let's go ahead and to try to get x by itself, let's multiply this by 4. And it's like doing 4 over 1. Those cross out. Whatever we do to that side, we have to do to this. So now we have x equals 4 times 5 equals 20. And it's like 4 over 1. 1 times 8 equals 8. So then we'll want to go ahead and turn this into a proper fraction. So how many times does 8 go into 20? 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract that equals 4. So then we put 4 over 8. That can be reduced. We can divide the top and the bottom by 4. And that's going to give us 2 and 1/2. And that's going to be 2.5 miles. So 1 inch equals 2.5 miles. Okay. So now you try this one on your own. Find the actual distance represented by 1 inch to write the scale of a map with the key 1/4 inch equals 2/5 inch, or 2/5 mile, excuse me. Try that on your own. Press pause. Come back to me when you're done. Okay, so you should have come up with 1 inch equals 1 3/4 mile. And same thing, I kept them as fractions, just cross multiplied the 4 times the 1/4 to get rid of it and isolate the x on that side. Did the same thing over here, just put it over 1. It's the same value. Got 8 over 5, divided 5 into 8, got 1 3/5. And so that was my answer. Okay, let's just look at checking your understanding together. So vocabulary. A scale is a ratio that compares a length in a drawing to the corresponding length in the actual object. Okay, so number 2, reasoning. The scale of a drawing is 5 centimeters to 1 millimeter. Is the scale drawing larger or smaller than the actual figure? So we're saying that the actual figure is the 1 millimeter. And 1 millimeter is smaller. A centimeter is 10 times bigger. So therefore the drawing is bigger. So we're just going to put larger and explain. I'm just going to explain it to you. Don't have to write it down. But write so that because the centimeter is the drawing and the millimeters the actual, a centimeter is bigger than a millimeter. So a student wants to write the scale of a statue of President Kennedy, who is 6 foot tall. The statue is 8 foot tall. The student writes the scale as 6 foot to 8 foot. Is the student correct? So really, whenever we're doing this, you're supposed to write the actual as the second. So no, Is the student correct? No. It should be 8 foot because that's the statue, and he was actually 6 foot. So I didn't make that super clear before, but the scale is always based on what the model is showing, and the actual is always the second number. Okay? Find the actual distance represented by 1 centimeter to write the scale of a map using the key 7/10 of a centimeter to 5/6 kilometers. So go ahead and try that on your own. Actually, try the next 3 on your own. Come back to me when you're done. Okay, so you should have got 1 centimeter is equal to 1 and 4/21 centimeters. Are those both centimeters? Oh, sorry, kilometers. Number 15, 15 miles, and number 6, 7 inches. Your homework for tonight is page 160, number 7 through 15 odd. Happy homeworking!